place back. Okay, cool. So then we just get to back up some.
Yeah, I'll set it up.
Yeah, this is just a little backup secondary experiment. See if anyone even listens on like that live. I'm not sure.
A lot of people have a lot of time. So what's the point of your podcast? What's your whole...
Breaking normal.
Yeah.
Breaking normal is the schedule is synchronicity, and I like to do them in person. And I just like to give the gift of listening to someone, seeing if I can like ask the questions that I'm most personally interested in, not like trying to doctor what other people want to hear. So it's very usually conversational.
I appreciate how laid back your podcast is. Like, yeah.
I would hate to have like thinking about the questions I have to ask. I do not do well with that.
Yeah, sometimes, it's journalism in a sense.
Yeah, it is.
And some people have it naturally that never really realized it. It's like the smartphone camera in everyone's pocket. Some people are really good with the camera. Some people still don't know how to do it.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing. How do you say and spell your last name?
Left court.
Left court?
Lefcourt.
Is it 23rd? Your last name?
4th, I think, is today. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's the 24th.
Tuesday.
How do you pronounce it's your wife, right?
Nafisa.
Nafisa.
Yeah.
Nafisa.
Nafisa.
Let me make sure I know where these questions, the popcorn ones are, speaking of. I kind of like, the popcorn thing came up more because we're doing video. And it's like fun to just get a variety of 1-minute answers on video for shareability.
Yeah, I think that's a smart strategy with shorts now.
Yeah, it seems like where a lot of people are doing now. Not that I'm trying to fit into it, but it makes perfect sense. I listen to a short clip from a podcast and I'm like, I want to listen to the whole podcast.
Right.
And then you listen to the whole podcast and then you might like find out about the brand and everything, whatever else. You might find out about a surfer tree coming up. What's the lady's name that runs Foot of the Mountain right now?
Tiffany.
Tiffany, that's what it is.
I'm still thinking about doing like this.
I'm thinking about it in October.
Price?
Not, maybe. It wasn't the best conversation.
I thought they ripped down that building.
Foot of the Mountain?
Yeah.
They
Still there?
Yeah, the Foot of the Mountain's cool. They're behind it.
That's okay. That's where you're at?
It's like a nice, I had trust they owned it back down. I like that spot. Are we good to go?
Let me hit the record button.
How am I looking? I have to see myself. Is there anything I should be aware of?
Are you on it?
Oh yeah, there I am.
Yeah.
How's it look to you, Trent?
Solid. Your hair needs a little work.
I'm supposed to get tomorrow.
I need one too. It's one wearing a hat.
I'm getting one from Casey tomorrow.
Oh, you are? I'm supposed to go 145.
Okay. That's hilarious. Alright.
Our God bless.
Start on
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, no.
Loading.
Does that mean we're on?
Daniel's new intro.
Okay.
We are recording.
I'm back in Boulder. So are you. We're back on the Very General Podcast. And I think we've been talking about doing this podcast for a few years now. I officially sort of moved to Boulder, Colorado in around 2019. And Greg here is the owner of what I would say is the coolest coffee shop in town, especially for the community vibes. The vibe of like, if I want to go and have a good time and meet new people, and who knows, there's just be good vibes in there.
Yeah.
And that is called Beleza, and this is Greg, the owner, and you co-own this with your wife, Nafisa?
I do, yeah.
Okay, and part of what I don't want to bias you too much, but I think it's important for people to understand is that you do run this business with your family.
It is a family operation.
Do you have some kids with you?
My stepdaughter, her daughter.
Okay.
And she works with us.
Okay, because I knew I wasn't sure all the relations, but there's a lot of girls her age, it seems, like her friends that work with there.
Over time, we're almost 8 years old now. So she's 22, so she wasn't working when we started. And as she got to an age where she could get employed, obvious choice was to work at mom and dad's coffee shop. And then over the years, that age group is who works in cafes. So her best friend, who's a killer worker, she works with us, and a lot of people her age, a couple people a little older. We have people that have been with us since almost the very beginning. so our retention's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if other people find this as amazing as I do, but to find one of the coolest coffee shops in a cool town like Boulder, Colorado is a big deal. Like even when I'm traveling, one of the first things I'm doing is looking for the coolest coffee shop because it's a bit of like a social hub.
For sure. I mean, it's where you want to go to meet people. So that's our tagline is enjoy coffee, create community. So the whole idea of Beleza was to walk in the door and feel immediately welcome into the space. With the music, the vibe, the light, the ambiance, the fact that there's community in there. We don't have Wi-Fi, so there's a lot of people that go there to meet each other. We do welcome people to hotspot their phone, but we just make it just uncomfortable enough so you don't want to make it your office for the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we really like to see people come in and out of the cafe and have some good turnover. I was in there this morning not working, just getting an espresso while I had a meeting. And the place was full to the brim and most people were talking with each other.
Yeah, it can get loud in there
loved it.
sometimes, and it's a good loudness. It's
Yeah.
like the loudness of a community, like echoing good vibes.
Yeah, that's the idea, man. Is like, you know, you have a business model around a community watering hole, if you will, and it really brings people out. Plus, our coffees are great.
Yes, you have great coffee. You're also quite the comedian. Like, do you do many podcasts?
No,
Have you-
first time.
First time,
Yeah,
yes.
for real.
I love
Yeah.
when I break that normal for someone. Because you have many microdose conversations with people that I think are very funny and
Yeah.
cool.
If you can hear me over the bar, I definitely don't have the best filter. I've been working on that over the years.
Well,
But I just say what's on my mind, and I'm also, you know, witty with who I'm talking to, so I can determine the level of comedy this person is or isn't willing to engage in.
yeah. Did you do stand-up comedy?
No.
When I first met you, I thought you may have that you like were practicing.
I'm just comfortable up there. It feels like a stage sometimes. I'm also a barista competitor, so formerly, I should say, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12 maybe, I was part of the U.S. Barista Championship, regional events and national championships. So being on stage and being mic'd up and needing to present, it kind of gave me a new way to approach coffee and service and hospitality as a barista. That's when I was with Ozo Coffee Company here in Boulder. I was with them for 11 years,
How long have you lived in Boulder?
since 1985.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Since the
Local
year
boy.
I was born.
Nice.
I rarely tell that to people
Yeah.
too, but I just have to for the sake of synchronicity. That's
Yeah.
what I like. I'm looking for synchronicities here as an
This is
investigative
good.
journalist.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, we came to town from Florida.
That's where I was born.
So I was born in Hollywood,
Like Miami, like North.
North Miami Beach.
I was born in Mount Sinai Beach, but my parents lived in Hollywood.
Cool. So I was born at Memorial
I was okay.
in Hollywood.
Wow.
Lived in Fort Lauderdale.
Well, my
Synchronicity.
parents are gonna be tuning in.
There you go.
Closer now.
So still had family in most recently Boca Raton, Delray Beach, Boynton Beach.
Yeah.
Where else? Deerfield, that area.
Those areas are cool. I mean, I just got back from the Sarasota area, which I thought was super nice and super beautiful. But I think I'm more inspired by the South Florida culture for whatever reason. I mean, it's chaotic in Miami.
It's chaotic.
It's straight chaos, but
And
there's
it's a
something.
different world.
Yeah,
there.
it's
It's
just
not real. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel real to me.
But like Delray and Jupiter are kind of still, I think, cool towns. I
Yeah,
think.
the beaches are nice.
Yeah.
And there's areas. You
Yeah.
can still get some good food in areas, but man, I haven't been to Southeast Florida in years. Most of my family has either passed away or moved
Okay.
out here.
To Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Did you ever surf out there at all? Or
No.
did you surf at all?
I've surfed for sure.
Okay.
I lived in Santa Barbara during college.
Did you like at UCSB?
Yeah, I lived in Isla Vista.
That's one of the most beautiful campuses on
It's
earth.
gorgeous. I didn't go to school there,
Okay, okay.
but I had an extended summer. I did an exchange program. I went to college in Durango.
Colorado. Okay.
And then my junior year went to college in Bellingham, Washington.
Whoa, that's also a cool town.
Spent that summer in Santa Barbara because it was 6 months between school.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm moving to the beach.
That's all those places you just listed are quite
Yeah.
amazing, and Boulders as well.
Yeah. This was 26 years ago.
Okay. Now, where's the coolest place to be?
Currently,
Yeah.
I always found myself coming back here. This is hometown, you know. So every time I leave Boulder and come back, there's this feeling of deep rooted nostalgia and home. So like I don't know if and when I'm ever gonna leave Boulder. I'm luckily grandfathered in here. My wife and I own our home. Got in way earlier, own a business, really like hustling. I've worked my butt off to live here. But she's from the Eugene, Oregon area, and it's really nice up there.
It is.
It's really nice.
Especially between like Eugene and Bend, along the Mackenzie River.
Her brother lives in Bend.
Okay.
On the Little Deschutes.
Yeah.
So we spend some time there, and life's good there too. But Bend
Also a
itself,
place you can surf.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they got snow this year. We didn't get any snow.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens this next couple of years with weather and patterns and stuff. Because I really like to snowboard and need to be around water at some point. But it's getting drier out here by the year.
Yeah, I live next to the creek very much on purpose.
Yeah.
I love Edmonton.
Oh, it's amazing.
Although I might want to stop saying that. Were you at the park this weekend and did you see how busy it was, Trent?
I'm sure.
It was like a freaking festival.
It was
like
90
people,
degrees outside.
I know, but I haven't seen. I haven't even recognized a lot of these people. Maybe they were coming from out of town and they were all looking for that escape. It was kind of wild.
I mean, that is the park spot on the only waterway through town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Especially the deeper swimming holes, and that's kind of like my gym and my daughter's like backyard.
I have some swimming holes, but I'm not about to say them out.
Yeah, everyone knows about these. There's it's fun to find them along anywhere. A lot of this clean water coming from the Rockies. Because we lived in San Diego. That's where my daughter was born in Encinitas.
Cool.
And you say the lack of water thing. That was like one little thing concerning about living there. There was no clean water that I know of that's not on the tap. Except, and that's not really. I prefer not to drink tap water. So there's a well in Carlsbad. But other than that, there's nothing.
I know. I
It's
mean,
kind of concerning.
when I was in Santa Barbara, 26 years ago, a lot of the water holes, swimming holes that were above town, gosh, I'm gonna forget the name of the mountain range, but you would basically go east out of Santa Barbara or Goleta and go up and over the mountain, and you'd find all these state parks that would have waterways and big swimming holes, and all the community would get up there. It's like 100 degrees out, and they're dried up.
Yeah. Changing. Things change. Culture changes.
For sure.
So how does someone create the coolest coffee shop? I mean, it seems like maybe, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm imagining most coffee endeavors don't last as long as yours and are not nearly successful. I mean, I've seen coffee shops come and go sometimes.
I mean, here's the thing. A town like Boulder, you gotta, no matter what you're bringing to the table in the service industry, it's gotta be high quality, right? This town is pretty affluent. They know what they like. People know quality when they've had it. So all of the establishments in town that are doing high-end food, you've got James Beard award-winning chefs, Michelin star restaurants in Boulder, Colorado, great cafes all over the town. I've just been working in coffee for 26 years. So going back to Santa Barbara, that was my first coffee job, was that summer. So I worked at this little bakery called Our Daily Bread. And I was told, you push this button, you put the beans in here, and you put it in the machine, you push this button, and coffee comes out. That was about the extent of the training. So I knew there was more, there had to be more to it, right? So I just kept getting jobs in cafes, and then there was sort of I want to say a global and US-based coffee renaissance around 2006 to 9.
I agree with that.
Huge window where basically we're calling it the third wave, where all of a sudden quality was very important. Connecting with the farmer was very important. Knowing where your coffee came from, different roast profiles. Why does this coffee taste like fruit? Why is this so dark? Really getting into the science and the breaking down the characteristics of this really, really amazing product that is like the second most trafficked good across the planet. Behind petroleum.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm all about this, and I think that's probably when I caught the coffee situation because I think I had a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa, it can be that.
Yeah. You know where it was actually? I think it might have been like around. I was in Harvard Square, and Starbucks, one of their reserve locations with that.
Those are great.
What's that machine called? The Clover thing.
Oh, they had the Clover.
It's like a French press espresso hybrid kind of thing.
It's a full immersion brewing machine that it would take forever to brew a cup, but man, it brewed a good cup of coffee, and all those Starbucks reserves did a really fantastic job of finding great coffee and roasting it to a really awesome quality level and putting the investment and the money behind that part of their brand, even though they've shut a bunch of those stores now.
Yeah, but that's what they were using these beans, like the Jamaican Blue Mountain or like Kona, like, and you could tell the beans were not like overly roasted. It was a different situation.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was having like the biggest version of that in these in Harbor Square and something. I was like, that's what I think I caught, and that might have been around that same time range you're talking about.
It's gotta be, man, because like once people started catching on to the quality that coffee could be, it just skyrocketed. So then I was working at Ozo at the time, and Allegro Coffee Roasters, previous to Whole Foods owning them, was a local-based roastery here in Thornton.
Okay.
So we were using their coffee, and they were doing blends for us, and then all of a sudden the word single origin appeared. Coffee from one place, one farm, one origin, right? Where it isn't blended out with a bunch of other coffees and trying to mask flavors, but you can actually get instinctive characteristics of every coffee per growing region.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That is. And that's when that was really starting to happen. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, right. Not that long ago.
Yeah.
And places like New York and Los Angeles were way sleepy to get on board with it to Middle America even. So when I would go to these barista competitions, where you'd go to Los Angeles or California, you still would have a really hard time finding great coffee until 2010, 2011. All of a sudden, the cities started catching on, like, we got to get the quality above Starbucks, above Dunkin' Donuts, like, get people on board with this, that this coffee can taste way better than those places.
Yeah. I remember when I went to San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland around the time I started Coffee Bug. I was like, I think that's when the world really opened up to me.
Well, they were way ahead of the game.
Yeah. Was there any coffee shops? I don't know if you've traveled much to go. Yeah. Is there any that like really you're like, wow, that's top notch?
I mean, yeah, I definitely try to keep a good list for every big city or any city I travel to. I find the best coffee shops in those cities.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, you'd have places like Vivace in Seattle, like Ritual and Blue Bottle in San Francisco. Stumptown, original Stumptown stores in Portland.
Okay.
Those were the shops that really grew the image of specialty coffee above and beyond.
What about, isn't there one in San Francisco called like Four Barrel?
Four Barrel, yeah.
That one was...
That was a great shop for a while. They got into some issues with the owner and some problems. You might want to Google that one.
Yeah, I just remember stopping by a long time ago. I was like, this was impressive.
Yeah, it was a really cool shop, and it was different, right? Because you roll in and it has this steampunk vibe and this edge to it where they've got boar's heads up on the roof and chalkboard menu, and they're roasting the coffee right behind.
Yeah,
Four Barrel was one of my spots.
Yeah, you're reminding me.
And you come out and you're in the Mission, and you feel like this isn't an experience.
Yeah.
This isn't just you're having a cup of coffee. This is like, I kind of feel cool.
Yeah.
I want to walk around and shop with my cup of coffee now. Go to the Burning Man store across the street and go get some arepas. That neighborhood's great.
All right. Have you been to Norway by any chance? Like Oslo?
No, but I'd love to.
Like I went to a coffee shop in Oslo that kind of gave me that similar, like, wow, this was a whole experience.
Yeah, I know Scandinavian countries take specialty coffee like up because they bring their whole Higa and vibe into it. And if I'm saying that right.
I mean, I've heard of Hygge. It's like kind of like cozy and Danish. Yeah.
But you know, it's like they bring their culture into their service model and their meticulousness. Like, I want to go to Asia, go to Japan, go to South Korea, go to even China is doing coffee. Coffee's having a huge renaissance now in China.
Cool. What about Ethiopia?
Sure. I mean, go there. Here's the thing: is the quality of the coffee served in Ethiopia most likely not like the coffee from Ethiopia you're getting here, because they're going to export the higher stuff.
That's exactly what happened in Peru.
Yeah.
I went to Peru thinking like, oh, I'm going to drink the best coffee in the world, and everyone's drinking Nestle. Yeah. Nestle Quick Instant Coffee.
Nescafe. Yeah.
For sure. That one was disturbing.
So I tell, whenever we travel for coffee, you're getting to sample the goods. But if you go out to a local cafe, some of these producing countries are actually getting hip to creating more specialty grade coffee shops, like Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, But you really got to be in big cities to
Mhm.
find specialty grade coffee that isn't exported.
Interesting.
Because the price points are different. Locals there aren't buying $8 lattes.
What? All right. So Hawaii has a big thing in coffee. You ever go to Hawaii?
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Big Island recently, and there was a place with a boar's head. It was like a pig. You know, it's a big. It might be Kona, like Big Island
On
coffee.
the Big Island?
Yeah.
I know that. I know. I've had a lot of amazing coffees from
Yeah.
the Big Island. I had issues when I visit Hawaii finding cafes that are actually serving Kona grown coffee
Yeah.
and doing it well. So every time I go visit Kauai or the Big Island or Maui, I'm like, I really feel like I want to move there and open a good cafe, but I don't want to be another Howley jumping onto the islands and
Yeah.
doing the thing, you know. But I had an issue when I went into this cafe. These guys wanted $70 for this bag of Kona coffee, and I'm looking at it, and it's sealed. There's no roast date on it, and I can't see it, and they don't have it for sale to purchase or to taste. So, personally speaking, I won't buy a coffee at that price point without a roast date, without knowing the level of roast, without knowing something about the coffee. You can't just say the word Kona and fetch that, because you could cook the coffee to death.
Yeah. Wow. What about the origins of coffee? I've heard some goat stories. Do you know about this?
Yeah,
Is that
they're
true?
yeah, might be.
What's the story you understand?
Kaldi would be the name of the goat herder, or Kaladi, depending on the version that you're hearing. Goats, he's walking his goats through the fields, and they're eating these ripe red cherry fruits, and then pretty much dancing, or laughing, or prancing. The laughing goat, named after the goat. The dancing goat is a place in Eugene, Oregon. That's a cool shop. The goat's got all this energy, so he's like, something must be up with this fruit. So, you know, the seed of the fruit is the coffee that we enjoy. The seed of the fruit that we take out, we roast it, we grind it, and we pour water over it. I don't know who exactly figured that out, but there is caffeine in the mucilage of the fruit of the coffee cherry. So my guess is the goat herder popped a couple of those in, spit the fruit, or the seed out, and chewed up the grape-like mucilage in there and swallowed that, which is pretty tasty.
Is that known as cascara?
The cascara is actually the shell of the whole coffee cherry dried,
Oh.
which is a byproduct of coffee production.
Okay.
So you can make a tea out of it that has a small amount of caffeine in it. It tastes very tea-like and fruity usually, and has a little bit of a light coffee flavor.
Okay, so that's the shell of the fruit.
Correct. The
Right.
entire
So before
exterior
they roast
skin,
them?
really, it's the skin.
Okay.
It's the cascara.
So before they roast the beans, they dry them, and that's how they get that.
So you pick a coffee. I'll give you the quick
Yeah, let's do
coffee
one now.
lesson here. So, coffee grows to maturity on the plant, ideally. So, like any fruit would, it's tree ripened, right? So it'll finish, and when it's picked, it can go through multiple different levels of processing, from washed to natural to honeyed, and there's some other weird processing methods in there, but those are like the main three. So let's say you have a natural coffee, you're picking it off the plant, you're drying it fully intact, so seed inside with the mucilage with the skin on it.
How's it usually dried?
Either on a raised bed or on a patio. So because it's got water and moisture content, on a raised bed is probably the best opportunity, because air can flow above and below, creating airflow, so there's no part of it that gets overly saturated and gross or fermenting.
Okay.
So if it's on the drying patio, obviously it's making contact with the ground, so the cherries have to be rolled constantly.
Okay.
And you can't have rain hit it. So I don't know, a couple days or however long they're drying there, and then eventually you have to pop the seed out of that coffee cherry.
Okay.
So that's done usually with a dry mill if we're still going natural, so no water involved. So it can squeeze the seed out.
Oh, wow.
And the seed has other layers on it. It has an exoskeleton around the seed, and then it gets dried further.
Dried again.
Potentially, because you got to get it to a certain moisture content before you throw it in a bag. Because if you throw it in a bag and there's too much humidity or moisture in the product, it'll mold. So it's very, very meticulous to get it to this point. So eventually that seed gets popped out of its exoskeleton, and then you've got the coffee seed, which is green at this point. It's
Mhm.
called a green bean.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets packed up in burlap, or usually Grain Pro at this point, which is plastic, and then vacuum sealed, and then put in burlap so that it's nice and sealed tight, no air can get to it anymore. It gets transported from the farm to the importer, or excuse me, the exporter, onto a boat, onto whatever country it's going to. Let's say it's the US and it goes to Houston or Los Angeles or some other port, and then it gets trucked all the way to a holding facility at the importer, whether it's in Middle America or Seattle, and it's stored there before roasters buy it, and they truck it again to the roaster, and then the roaster cuts open that bag, cooks the coffee in the roaster, and then sends that roasted product finished to its end users.
Roasting and that big roaster spinner thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Like 13 to 18 minute roast cycle.
and that's so interesting. How
Per
that
batch.
why? I mean, all right. So I
Once
once
figured this out, it's what I want to know. That's what's so cool is we've got this fruit, and that's natural coffee, right? So washed coffee, you would basically do the opposite. You use water during the processing method. So the beans go into a tank, potentially a
Okay.
fermentation tank, where they'll sit for a few days. Sometimes air is removed. Sometimes they add things to the water of the tank to add flavors or add levels of microbial content to create an environment that they're
Is that displayed
Searching
on
for-
a label?
usually
Okay. What's that called?
either a co-ferment or an anaerobic process.
Okay. Interesting.
So that creates different experiences in the cup, right? So you get different fruits, different acidities, different flavor notes that can come out depending what you're doing. I just drank a coffee the last couple of days and I didn't realize it was a mango co-ferment,
Okay.
meaning they put mango pulp in the fermentation tank with all the coffee at the farm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mangoes grow in the same environment as coffee. So I grind this coffee at home and I didn't realize it was a co-ferment, and my whole kitchen just smelled like mango candy, and I was like, what is going on? So I realized it's coffee, and then I look at the label and I'm like, oh wow, mango co-ferment. So I pull a shot with it at home in my espresso machine, and it's like mango syrup. Normally that would make me kind of be like, I don't know if I want that, but it was so good, I couldn't help. I'm plowing through the whole bag.
Where does one get mango co-fermented coffee?
From Colombia, from this one particular farmer. It's really, really cool. I'd never heard of a mango co-ferment. I've had a cinnamon co-ferment.
That sounds nice.
I've had banana has been used.
Nice.
That's not the best flavor, but you'll see other weird fruits sometimes.
Wow.
It's very rare, but
Okay.
some coffees fetch just stupid price points.
All right. What about you? You mentioned home espresso. What's the best home espresso machine?
For making espresso at home, depends on your price point.
We got some
I mean, there's
options
some
that you made.
beautiful machines out there. Fellow makes a really good looking machine.
Okay.
I think it starts at $1,500.
Okay.
Approachable, I think. I have a $400 machine at home. That's the Rebel.
The Rebel.
Yeah,
You like that one?
Love the Rebel. Like the
Okay.
Rebel's definitely the most solid working piece of equipment, especially the one with the grinder on it. If you don't want to buy a separate grinder,
Yeah. Okay.
they work really, really well. They make good coffee.
All right, and I once heard this guy, I forget who it was, but he's talking about if you want to drink coffee in the healthiest ways, you want to have it 4 days within the roast, 4 hours within the grind, and 4 minutes within the brew.
Yeah, I mean,
And
to
then
an
to not
extent.
over roast it. Like
Yeah.
under roasting is one key to.
Think about it like you cooking any food, right? There is a sweet spot. I eat steak, so I use this reference a lot, this analogy where you don't take a filet mignon and ask the chef to make it well done.
Yeah.
That's like basically saying I love really high-end coffee and I drink French roast. You are not understanding something about the quality level and the preparation of the product.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a high quality coffee, a roaster that gets their hands on it should treat it like such and be looking for the most beautiful balance between the acidity, the flavor, the mouthfeel, so that they hit the right roast level, so they don't under roast it and make it vegetal and sour,
Mm-hmm.
or over roast it, cooking out those flavors,
Mm.
right? And obviously the person preparing it can also mess it up.
All right. I just like so many random questions.
I love it, yeah.
How does all right? Let's say first the Shikaka. Shikaka, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
On
what-
Ace Ventura 2. What is
Oh,
it? Bat poop. Coffee.
Guano.
Guano. Oh, Shikaka was the word.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
name of the bat.
Yeah.
I think they were not
That's
allowed
right.
to say. That's right. So
That's
guano. Guano. Is this a thing? I mean,
It's
is it
a
a real
thing.
thing?
It's not with bats though.
Okay. What's the story with this?
There are certain animals out there in the world. I can name the jacu bird in Brazil and the civet in Southeast Asia. They'll feed these animals coffee and
The whole fruits.
the whole fruit
Uh-huh.
right from the plant, and their body will process it all the way to the seed, which is undigestible, and then they will poop out the seeds, and then they will be collected, cleaned, and roasted. And apparently the digestive enzymes of these animals work as a way to process the coffee. I've had it. It wasn't great, and it wasn't like, oh wow, I need more of that.
Where'd you have it?
I had civet coffee in Vietnam, or excuse me, in Bali,
Okay.
and I had jacu bird in Brazil.
So one's a bird. What's the one in Bali?
A civet is basically a weasel.
Oh wow! Wow. Okay.
It's weird.
That is very.
And they're not treated very well. It's a very inhumane process.
That's what I was wondering.
They have them in cages, and it's a lot of touristy, showy stuff. And
I wonder if they get like lit on caffeine.
the animal,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
How much caffeine do you drink a day?
I usually try to limit it to like two double espressos
Two doubles,
in the morning.
Okay.
But when I'm working on the bar, I'm usually like 6 to 8
6 to 8 total,
espresso shots.
or 6 to 8 more.
Like I'll probably have like 4 double espressos during a 6-hour shift.
Wow, so that's a good bit of espresso throughout the day.
Yeah,
Do you have a cutoff time?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. You're trying not to have any more caffeine.
Yeah, I want to sleep through my nights.
What's the rate? Is it like 60 milligrams or 40 milligrams of caffeine
In
in an espresso shot?
Oh god, a lot more than that.
You think
yeah,
so?
I think so. I think there's in a double espresso.
A double?
Yeah,
double
well,
that.
We're just pulling doubles these
Okay.
days.
All right.
So milligrams of caffeine, usually like, don't quote me on this, but I want to say like 140 to 180 in a double.
And then what do you you must come across people that are trying to quit coffee every once in a while. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
every
sure not
every
as
January,
big.
everyone makes the New Year's resolution to not drink so much coffee. So we see all that 3 weeks later.
Yeah, I just tell people when they tell me that, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, my favorite part about quitting coffee is drinking it again.
Yeah, exactly. It tastes so good, and you're like, why did I ever stop?
But I will say, one time I went off a month, and then I had like my regular quad shot in the morning,
much.
and then I was just, I felt like I could not calm down for
Right.
almost all day.
But it's kind of amazing how quickly you get recalibrated to caffeine.
Yeah.
Like the first double, you're like, whoa, I really feel that coffee, and then like a couple days of doing that, and you need a little more, and then it's just becoming a habit, and you feel like you can't operate without it, but you're gonna be just fine. I quit drinking a lot to take a break from all substance, just to clean up.
Yeah.
Being in my late
You mean
40s.
currently?
Yeah.
You're not drinking any coffee?
No,
right now?
I'm definitely drinking coffee now.
Okay.
In October, I took a month and a half off. Just this right before spring started, I took a month off.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
months. And is that zero caffeine?
0.
Wow, that's caffeine out of all the things I've stopped. Seems to maybe be the roughest for some reason.
I feel like you can, if you know your own body, like you can wean, right? So like, I go from drinking the way I do now to like just 1 cup today, and then you won't get that headache, and then the next day you're like black tea, and then the next day green tea, and you're like, this isn't as good, but it's not allowing a headache. So
Yeah,
that's the hardest
yeah,
part, is people
yeah.
think that
The
you
headache.
become so dependent on a substance, whether it's caffeine or sugar or heroin, and your body tricks you to thinking that you need it all the time.
Yeah, I know, but there's repercussions of certain things, like opiates can be pretty, and caffeine can be pretty.
There is
tough, that
there's a
mental
withdrawal,
head
dude.
thing,
There's a
headache.
slag.
Yeah, I don't like that dip either. Like the dip with the headache.
Yeah, and then you get ornery a little bit, and nothing's gonna hit that same satiation,
I
you know?
And then you just like think about like, well, coffee's good for me. I love the taste of coffee.
Yeah.
And then boom, I'm like, why did I even think about not doing this for a while.
I know. I mean, I just think everything in moderation, you'll be all right. Back in my competition days, though, I'd work a full day. Shop would close down, and I'd go into the shop at night to get my routine dialed, and I'd be drinking espresso. And I was in my mid-20s then, and I was like not thinking about the amount of milligrams of caffeine I'm putting in my body, and my adrenals were so shot during those months. I feel like I lost years of my life just buzzing from the caffeine and not being able to sleep for days at a time.
Yeah, it's. Do you run into that with customers? I know, like, I'm sure bar owners like, oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
He's 12 drinks in.
Yeah, I have this one lady. She's so sweet. She just started appearing. She orders usually 3 to 4 double espressos in one sitting.
3 to 4.
Yeah, she starts with 2 doubles. She
Okay.
doesn't want them in the same cup.
Okay.
She's super cool. I like her. I just can't believe every time I look down the bar at her after serving her 8 shots that she's still sitting calmly, just doing whatever it is she's doing. I would be bouncing off the roof.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I stretch those 8 shots out for a 7-hour shift.
Yeah, my least favorite time to drink coffee is when I'm tired, personally. Like, I don't like to.
And you just get jittery, and then you're just still tired.
Yeah,
I feel jittery.
I love doing it when I'm like feeling wide awake about a couple hours after I wake and I get that quad shot. I wonder if you even know my order.
I do.
What do you think it is?
It's quad shot.
Yeah, quad shot latte breve.
Breve.
Yeah, I like it. I like that heavy cream, and then I put some femur creamer in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got some good gifts for you.
What do you got in there?
Well, I thought I had a full tallow, but I didn't. I just know you love the white chocolate.
I love
do you
the
want the one
tallow.
I've been using?
Yeah, bro. What's this one?
That's the white chocolate. I've just been using it. I was trying to find you a full one. That's our honey.
Love that.
Southern Colorado honey. I mean, this honey's so real.
I know, bro.
You
You gave me a little sample last time. I
If you want
love
to
this
know
honey.
if your honey's real, first of all,
Unfiltered.
this has the parts and everything in it. But like, that's one good sign. If you drop this in water, it should not dissolve. That's another thing. But this is as real as it gets.
You know what I found out about honey the other day, and I didn't know this, is my stepdaughter taught me this, so I gotta give her props on it. We make simple honey syrup at the shop, so
Okay.
because it makes it a little bit easier in a squeeze bottle to serve it. It doesn't get all sticky all over the counter. Point is in the bottom of the container, after making it, there's a little bit of water running across the honey, and if you look closely at it, all of the honey has a memory, and it goes back to the honeycomb shape.
Oh wow!
So if you
She's
ever
a good picture of that.
I would like to. I just had never seen it happen before, and she showed me, and the water would run across the melted honey and all be honeycombed.
Wow. Well, on that note too, I'm talking about traveling and coffee. With honey, what I've been doing before my trips, I get the raw, unfiltered, if I can find it, raw, unfiltered honey from the area that I'm going in. So like before I went to Sarasota, or before I went to the Big Island, I started microdosing the raw honey from that area before I get there.
Hopefully your allergens are
Exactly. It's like an actual inoculation from nature.
That's amazing.
And then license testicles.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Freeze dried.
Raw.
What do we
in
do?
Boulder.
What do we do? What's the benefits of this?
This is I would say a great little like booster, like a rocket in your pocket before a workout or a date or a disc golf session.
Oh, rocket in your pocket, it says right there.
Yeah.
Okay. I can believe in that.
Yeah, some people, it's just pure bison testicle. I had a friend that trusts me really well, and he like asked me like, is this like he was trying to find out inside information. Like, did you cut that with Viagra? So some people feel it quite a bit.
Oh, like a sexual stimulation.
Yeah, it's pure bison testicles.
Interesting.
Raw.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll report back on that.
yeah, I like it. And I love that you love the tallow.
I do, man. That tallow. I know people that swear by it.
Yeah, one of your friends told me, because one of my nephews has a bit of an eczema issue, and I think one of your...
Yeah, she had a little bit of eczema on her forehead, this little patch above her eyebrow, and this stuff just worked magic for them, and then they called you up to get more, because I gave them a sample.
What was that guy's name?
Ira.
That's what I thought, because my other nephew's name is Irie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I was so blown away from this whole
my employee's kid's name his middle name is Irie.
Irie.
Yep.
That's
As
good.
in the Jamaican.
Yeah,
word.
I-R-I-E.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah.
You want some popcorn questions?
Sure.
These are meant to be like answered like just straight from the gut, heart.
This could be problematic. Let's try it out.
And how are we doing on time? We're so far, like, is that 36 minutes? It says?
It's 2:20.
All right. Wait, where are these questions? Here they go. All right, so number one, you've spent decades mastering coffee. What's something coffee taught you about humans that has nothing to do with coffee?
Wow, good question. A lot. I've always thought about writing a psychology textbook about human behavior over the counter. I think that it's taught me patience, if I'm just gonna one word answer it. You gotta be really patient with people, and you don't take things personally. So if I'm in an altercation, or if something's usually going awry, chances of it being me are very slim, because I'm there to serve you and be there for you. But if I've been in the industry so long that if you give me a hard time over the counter or you're just rude to me, you might get that right back from me, because I'm going to mirror the behavior. But if I can hone in my patience and just continue to kill the vibration with kindness and not take personal things, because people are pretty caffeinated, things are going on for people in the world, and the easiest people to take it out on are like industry workers.
That's an interesting aspect we haven't talked about.
So I think patience is a long answer, but patience.
Patience pays. Number two, most cafes are basically co-working spaces now. You went the opposite direction and cut the Wi-Fi. What did you see about people that made you do that?
It wasn't about seeing about people necessarily. It was that we had been open for 1 year when COVID hit. So 1 year of operating the standard model of having Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi in our cafe. And some of the behavior of people would be to basically jockey for position. People would line up at 6 a.m. when we opened and have all their stuff under their arm, their laptop, their lunch, their bag, like they're moving in. And they would grab a table and buy a drip coffee, and then at the end of my 6 hours on the bar, I look over and they're still sitting at the table, eating their lunch out of their bag, maybe drinking the same cup of coffee. Maybe they never even touched it, but they thought that was required to sit down at a table for that long. So it was happening to almost every tabletop. So people, if you didn't get there in time, people wouldn't budge from their tables. The room was quiet. Everyone was in their work mode. And someone made a comment to me that said, "This place is great. I don't even have to rent an office." And I said, "I know, I'm renting it for you." And when the pandemic hit, we just, obviously no one's sitting. We didn't stop broadcasting Wi-Fi, you just couldn't come in and sit down. But we really appreciated the vibration of when the community started talking again, and we were allowed to have 6 feet of separation between people, and people were coming out, and we'd allow 4 people in the shop at once. They were excited to see one another, to have a conversation with someone else, and we realized that was the connection, was the human-to-human interaction. And we wanted to cut the technology piece out of it, because we were on screens so much during the pandemic. Some of us were so sucked into them that we can't live without them. So we just literally said, let's force people away from them in our environment. And also, we need to get back on our feet as a business and flip tables. We can't have this nice elderly couple come in from the neighborhood to meet their friends and they can't find a place to sit.
I will say that y'all shop with the big tables with the 2 couches,
Yeah.
and then the other big table, and then the bar. I feel like I'm surprised more restaurants and cafes don't do that, actually.
We were knocked for it at the very beginning, and because people were like, "You could have so many more tables in there." I said,
Because
that wasn't the goal. The goal was to have like 6 different elements of seating and interaction spaces. And it really works that way. If you're sitting at the bar, most likely you're interacting with the service crew, or maybe you're there for a quickie because you're sitting at a bar stool. The community table, people like to hunker down, and I've seen so many people meet each other.
Yeah,
at that
for
time.
sure.
I know 2 different couples that met at my cafe and are either married or engaged now.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
I can't believe that National crisis was declared over 6 years ago. Is that right? Wasn't it like March 2020?
I think it was five or 6 years ago, like last week.
Okay, man, that's wild. Time got different.
Time got different, and it's almost like it didn't happen. You know?
Yeah, it's weird, man. That's weird.
It is the weirdest time of our lives.
All right, number 3. You had a lane in the specialty coffee world at a really high level. What made you step out of that and build something that feels more human? If that's the case.
Honestly, yeah, for sure. I reprioritized what I wanted in my life. So the goal isn't I'm not chasing dollar signs, personally. I'm chasing experience and time, and I realize we have one life to live. Life is very short. I've had a lot of loss in my last couple of years, and that's taught me that you have to maximize all of your time. So I was working a lot, and I'd rather work to live instead of live to work. Someone said that to me when I was traveling abroad years ago about the American culture, that saying, and I was like, dude, you're right. Like, Americans are nuts. Like, why do we have to live like this? Who came up with the 5-day work week? Henry Ford. But why are we still doing that? It's unhealthy. So you have to work a certain amount to make a living, but where do you draw the line of too much? So I was working 70, 80 hours a week for a while and just kind of running myself ragged, and realizing like I'll take a pay cut for mental clarity and sanity for myself and my family and my business if I could put more people in the right places.
I think that vibe is obvious in the shop as well.
And the staff likes it because the boss isn't there 24/7 breathing down your neck.
Yeah, the staff is really cool too.
They're awesome.
I was thinking about a restaurant when we were talking about big tables, a place called Pizza Cleta in Flagstaff, Arizona. Have you ever heard of this or been
I
there?
have heard of this.
It's epic. Probably the best pizza I've had in maybe ever.
With
And
giant table
what I'm
tops.
thinking, what I know I remember is there's just one big table. And people are just, they'll sit right in your lap.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of is Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest in Germany.
Okay.
Long picnic tables.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
One after the other. And you just wedge your way in, or Red Rocks, right? If it's a GA show, you wedge your way in, and you meet your neighbors.
Yeah.
People aren't doing that as much. There's a gap, you know. Like you and I are about the same age, but a lot of the younger folks, their communication skills with our generation and older generations is different. Cognitive thinking is different.
It is. I've been I work with a variety of people, and I'm typically more inspired and resonant with people that didn't go to college or dropped out of college. And there's something about, I don't know what it is. It's like an indoctrination and like a college culture or something.
They didn't just fall for the norm of just getting sucked into the system.
Yeah.
Even though I went to college,
Me too.
Cell
Me
phone.
too. I went to college.
I didn't have a cell phone until 3 years after college.
I don't know if I had one in college or not. It's a good question. I think I did, but I didn't use it like I do now.
Of course not. And I left my phone at home, and then my friends were like, "Why are you leaving it home? You can bring it with you." I'm like, "Yeah, but I need that in my pocket."
Yeah.
Only 4 of you people call me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's so crazy, man, to think like this little box is so important to us.
Well, I've been to coffee tastings, or what is it called? Like when you're like
A cupping.
a cupping.
Yeah.
Alright, so how does one become a better coffee drinker?
Keep tasting it. Go to public cuppings and think about what you're putting in your mouth and what you're eating. So, you know, in your smoothie bowl, and you take a bite, find the blueberry, find the banana, find the yogurt on your palate, and tell yourself those are those flavors. So when you buy that bag of coffee that thinks it's hot shit, saying that it tastes like rosé, strawberries, and candied lemon, find the flavor in the coffee after brewing it. It's not just coffee. If you literally express the coffee to the soft palate of your mouth, which is the roof and the back of your tongue, you can find more flavor. It's like when you're slurping down a milkshake. That last sip through the straw is almost the best one because it's expressing to the soft palate. It's not just filling your mouth with the product.
Yeah, I hear that. Especially if things are over hot.
Yeah, well, you can't really taste
Yeah.
stuff that's too hot. That's why at a proper cupping, you'll let the coffee cool about, I don't even know what the time is anymore. I haven't cupped in a hot minute, but about 9 minutes. So same idea with tasting booze. There's something about it being at 35% alcohol or lower for you to taste the flavor of the booze without the alcohol. So a lot of these 90 proof, 45% alcohols, you gotta add a splash of water or an ice cube, and there's a moment where it hits a sweet spot,
You can take,
and the alcohol isn't overpowering it anymore, and you can taste. So same with temperature.
Interesting. Yeah, I hear that. I know with the beer, like if a beer is cold enough, it's almost hard to taste it. Like if you let a beer warm up a little bit, you can really.
And there's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
But then if it gets too warm, and you're like, oh, this just tastes like warm beer.
Yeah, yeah. Unless it's really good.
You know?
If coffee is a ritual, what kind of ritual do you think people are actually craving right now?
In time.
Yeah, this time. What ritual are we craving?
Oh man. As a culture or as humans?
It's like our culture.
Wow, weird times right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people are. They don't know what they're craving, but I think overall humankind might be craving more connection and peace with one another, to be honest. More calm. There's a lot of noise out there. And we're getting inundated with it from every direction, it doesn't matter what device you're tuning into, it's got a lot of noise and static coming your way. So I find if I leave the phone in the car and I go for a sweet hike, I am blissed out. I am so tuned into the forest and my dog and the weather and anyone I'm passing on the trail, and I'm realizing that this is where I exist. It's not in the phone, it's not in the device. And I'm speaking for myself, but I think overall we're all, as a humankind, very lost in technology.
Hear that? Okay. The Persian love latte?
Love that.
Okay, the Persian love latte. Saffron, rose, and pistachio?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not just a drink. I think it's like a mood. Do you think you can actually shift how someone feels by what you're serving them?
Absolutely. Coffee, you're coming to the coffee shop to get elevated, to change something in your own brain chemistry, to hopefully make you happier, to make you brighter, to make you happier. Maybe it's the interaction you have with the people behind the bar. I tell my staff it is so important that you connect with the person that you're sliding the drink to across the counter. Even though we are really focused on our quality and our speed, that connection piece is really, really important to make someone's experience. Like a really nice little joke across the counter. Like, I had such a great shift yesterday. I was on fire making one-liners.
I bet you are.
And people walk away with this really fun drink with like a purple top on it and green matcha underneath, because the ube matcha is one of our spring drink specials. Persian Love Latte was modeled after the Persian Love cake that we get from Lucky's Bakehouse up north. And it's a traditional Middle Eastern style dessert combination.
Okay.
Those flavors: saffron, rose, sugar, pistachio.
That saffron spritz.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's really something special.
Yeah, I had a Palo Santo spritz last summer. I like getting kind of like
interesting.
gastronomical with the beverages a little bit, just to keep it approachable but still a little bit funky.
I hear that. You're making. When I think of Palo Santo and drinks, I think of that place in Maui Brewing Kombucha Company or something. Maui Kombucha Company. They had like a nice Palo Santo kombucha. I really enjoyed.
I found the company Dram around here.
Yeah, I think I've
They
seen that.
have like some canned adaptogenic
I've seen
drinks,
those.
and they also do this really sweet line of bitters, like alcoholic
Okay.
and non-alcoholic bitters, and Palo Santo is one of them.
Interesting.
So I made it into an expression. So I spritzed it as opposed to dropping it,
Yeah.
and I felt that making it into a spray gave the aroma I was looking for when you get down with your face into the beverage,
Yeah.
versus a flavor in the beverage.
I hear that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Okay. You travel, you're into music, you're into the vibe. What's a place or moment somewhere in the world that made you rethink what a space like Beleza could be?
Thailand, Chiang Mai, 2018. I was traveling with my wife, and I'm answering this one quick because we had the aha moments.
Okay.
We were offered the lease for the space for Beleza, and we knew we were going to go in head first into this business, and we weren't going to have much time for the travel and the connection. So we took a 18-day trip to Thailand together, and the inspiration was just, we were wide open, and a lot of our build out had a lot of Thai influenced coffee shops, like the table with the platters that come up, and or not table, but the bench, and there's just like 3 or 4 little tabletops that come on a post, like little platter tables, like not big enough for a laptop at all. That was in a cafe in Thailand, and I remember just how cool it was, because you just sit down with your drink, you hit it real quick, you observe the scene, and then you leave. This was our local cafe, and then all the low seating that's in our bench area, we did the low patio style seating instead of like traditional couches, because that was an Asian influence thing, a lot of low seats. It makes it comfortable, feels like a living room. So I don't know, man, it was cool.
That's cool. Got a few more here. What's something you believe about hospitality that would sound completely insane at a typical business conference?
The customer is not always right. I wouldn't necessarily say that to my customer, but there is a delicate balance between pushing the education of the thing that you know as the coffee service professional and how you would like to present the product and the information for your customer's experience versus just being cocky or arrogant about it. And it's a very fine line. I've definitely crossed that line and come across as cocky, and that rubs people the wrong way. But when you're going into a place that really understands their craft, you go out to eat here locally at any of the really amazing restaurants in town, Frosca, Santo, Black Belly, owned by phenomenal chefs, and the staff knows exactly what they're doing. You need to trust where you are. You are not necessarily the know-it-all of food or beverage, you know, like let the place give you their experience.
It's good guidance there.
It's a fine line.
As a barista, people open up. What do people tell you over coffee that they probably wouldn't tell their therapist or even their closest friends?
Oh man, sometimes inner thoughts roll out. People will say things like, "Oh, did I just say that out loud?" I'm like, "You did." I don't know. It's a lot of times, you know, people think their barista is their therapist. They'll sit at the bar and just, you're the person that they're talking to that morning, and you're gonna get the dump of whatever is coming out of their brain. So patience, going back to, it happens to us a lot.
I've seen it in other coffee shops too. I'm not trying to, I don't want to like name too many. People know each other. But I'm like, some mornings I go there, I'm like, it's a lot for me to even listen to. I'm like, I don't know if I can hear this every morning anymore.
Yeah, we definitely have a couple of amazing people. These are all great people, but there's every once in a while you'll see that one customer coming and you're like, oh boy, here we go. They're not going to let me go from whatever they want to talk about for the next 3 hours. So I have to train my staff how to navigate an energy vampire.
Yeah, wow.
You know, there's a way to do it politely.
Yeah. And that's what an education.
It's great, actually. I've also seen so many kids grow up right in front of my eyes, from just being a kid to being like a legit communicator, clear, concise, learned a lot of things about human communication with one another just by having a job over the counter like this.
Yeah, I think it's, and I love the book idea.
It's awesome.
Was that the working title of sorts? Would you call it?
God,
over the counter.
Over the counter. I don't know.
You said something afterwards. I was like,
we'll have to remind me. I've been meaning to jot down ideas, but I would really have to go in deep into my brain for a lot of these old interactions, because I've had crazy shit happen over the counter before. I got grabbed by the throat one time.
Not here, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was here in Boulder. I'm just not gonna name names or where, but apparently he said I served him a caffeinated coffee the day before, and he ordered decaf. And I don't remember what my reply was, but he didn't like it, and he lunged at me, and he was able to get his hands on my throat. But I pulled him physically over the counter and pushed him down onto the countertop where he was high-centered, and he couldn't get his feet or his arms down. So when my boss came up on that, it was an interesting scene.
Yeah, I mean,
He got kicked out because he did attack me, and then about 6 months later, he rolled back through and came up to me and was so heartfelt and sweet and apologized for just being off his rocker.
yeah, I mean, a throat grab.
Yeah,
That's,
I mean, this was
rare,
back in the day.
kinda
This was like
rare.
2001, you know, like there was.
I mean,
Shit
a
was
push,
different.
is, a push is one thing, but
Yeah.
going straight
Oh,
for
he
the
reached.
throat,
He got me
man.
by the throat. Yeah,
Gosh.
it was bad.
Wow. Okay.
I caught a kid stealing our tip jar.
Oh,
I was bending down
how
cleaning
old?
something.
Like a kid.
Like probably a middle school kid.
Okay. Wow.
But I was able to get to him at the front door before he got out.
So you like took the whole jar?
The whole jar. I heard
You just had
the
jar-
coins,
Oh.
and I stood up because I was wiping a shelf down. He didn't realize I was on the other side of the counter, and I jumped the whole counter because he panicked and ran with the jar, and I got him at the front door, and I realized that I'm collaring like a 13-year-old, and I need to just tell him, if I find you doing this again, I'm gonna tell your mom and dad.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago too. You know, things happen, man.
Yeah, the caffeine element too is a big thing.
So much better than alcohol.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, alcohol. I think people get angry parts of people come out.
And
No
things-
offense, but some alcohol
Yeah, when
sometimes.
things get said that really shouldn't be said, and behaviors come out. Caffeine, you just get a little more amped on who you already are, I think.
All right, one more question here. If you could design the perfect cafe purely for human connection, not profit, not scale, is there anything different?
Probably, that'd be cool. Maybe you design the table layouts a little different so that if you really want to force the connection, everyone's facing another human, or everyone's definitely seated next to another human being. You could make it really cozy in little areas that you'd want to go. Look at it like Joyful Journey Hot Springs. Have you been there?
Yeah, I have.
Great
actually,
hot spring,
yeah,
right?
I've been there.
They have like 8 tubs, and when I was there a couple weeks ago, it was busy. There was someone in every tub, and I don't like that. I just want to be alone. I want to be quiet unless I'm with my partner or something. But I was on a solo trip, but I was like, whatever. Let's just talk to the neighbors, and I ended up in some really cool conversations. I met this really cute couple. I met this really cool older lady. But it was cool because I was kind of forced into it because people were like, hey, how's the day going? Because I'm sitting in this hot tub literally right next to you. It'd be weird if I didn't engage you. I'm also really personable, and you know, I think that coffee is a good connector, but like really it's about people need human connection whether they know it or not. They need to be able to have another human, even though you've got recluses and hermits and stuff. I'd say majority of people really do strive for human connection, even though they might not know it or know how to do it. They inherently want to. That's what we want.
I'm thinking of like the design of like a bar, and like instead of say have your bar set up, instead of the couches, if it was like a circle table that the barista had access to, and then that way everyone in that circle.
You know what's really cool, dude, is I saw a picture of a build out for this new cafe in Brooklyn that just opened this week. I don't remember the name of it. It's Los Angeles based. It's really popular there, and they just opened one in New York City. And I saw a picture of a similar vibe where the barista bar it's a seating bar, but it's such a long, big countertop that it feels more like a kitchen table vibe. So the barista can serve you there, but you're sitting together around it like you'd be serving your family, like mom would be giving you the plates while she's cooking.
Yeah,
you know.
Now I'm thinking the Waffle House.
Okay.
Have you been to Waffle House?
Not recently, but
It's
I
like
can
you see the
imagine
whole
it.
kitchen,
Yeah.
and like the barista is talking to everyone at the bar.
Onyx Coffee Lab did that in at their first flagship store in Bentonville, I think it was, or shoot, what's the name of that town where they are in Arkansas?
Yeah, Bentonville's, and isn't that like where Walmart's?
That's where Walmart's from.
Yeah.
So these guys, I think they work with some people that can help them build out really sweet cafes, but Onyx is a really sweet operation owned by a really, really sweet married couple, So I look up to them as well. I think I'm a little older than them, but I've known Andrea and John throughout the competition days, but they have a very similar vibe where the barista's in the center and the whole seating bar is around their operation.
That sounds kind of cool.
So even the person washing the dishes or the urns is over here regardless. You can interact with the staff. I think that's cool. And there's also a lot of accountability for staying clean and organized and PC behind your bar.
Yeah, the accountability aspect is kind of big. And the accountability to like social and cool.
Yeah, I mean,
people are watching you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like I said earlier, you're on a stage of sorts, and I purposely didn't build our countertops tall at Beleza. They're all designed for interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing there's nothing you can really hide behind in our bar. You're very much up front with the customer.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool.
I like that. It reminds me too of Salt. So there's like like a few little fireside seats. There's a bar seats where you're like almost looking into the fire.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my favorite seat.
I know.
And then I like that. I like Salt. But if I go there, I want to sit there.
Yeah. I
like,
love that concept. Like sushi restaurants do that a
Yeah.
lot, where the sushi chefs are literally serving you over their prep stations.
Exactly.
That's a cool interaction, you know?
I agree.
I think that's cool.
I definitely think more people are craving this. So thanks for thinking about coffee and community and Boulder more with me.
Thanks.
The time kind of flew by. How long are we in? Are we over an hour?
Just over at 102.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm a talker.
You have anything for me? Any questions for me? Anything else you want to say? Where's the best place people to follow you?
Come and get coffee at the shop. You know, Boulder's full of amazing coffee shops. I go out to all of them when I'm in different neighborhoods, but you know, people get in their routines and their little neighborhoods and stuff, and I'd say just come visit and say hi. Like, we love seeing people that we don't see all the time. So when you're on the west side of Boulder, near Ideal Market and Wine Merchant and Sweet Cow, come check us out.
I love going there. Now I'm curious about your other coffee shop favorites in town, if you want to talk.
I live in South Boulder, so every once in a while I'll go to the Boxcar Table Mesa spot. It's right by my house, so the view of the Flatirons is great there. I like a lot of the shops that do what we do with like a higher end product, the coffee itself, and sort of the aesthetic and service model. So I definitely dig on Verb.
Oh yeah, Verb's good.
I really like January Coffee.
Been there a few times.
Moxie Bread Co.
For their coffee?
Coffee's great.
I don't know if I had coffee there.
I mean, come on, the bakery's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Their coffee program's killer too. The one in Lyons and in Louisville.
Okay.
And probably North Broadway. I don't get up there too much because my shop's right on Broadway. But Logan's is gonna reopen eventually. They're like hardcore local vibes. They always have a good cup of coffee.
Oh, wow.
Ozo, local heroes here. Lots of shops. The brand, I'm really proud of what I did for the company to help it grow the way it did, and they definitely are very consistent and awesome brand. Boxcar obviously killing it. Creature Comforts is fun downtown. The Trident for its old school vibe.
Oh yeah, Trident's cool. I like that.
Sati and Co.
That's a different vibe too.
It's a different
very
vibe.
Scandinavian.
Which is very much so.
Yeah.
But they're nailing it. Same with like Alpine Modern on the hill.
That's my favorite spot for the fall because my daughter goes to school right there.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
She goes to
like,
Flatirons?
Yeah, we're like right around that area, so we sit there under that freaking tree that's blossoming.
It's amazing.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, one of my best friends just moved a couple doors down from there, so that's gonna be his walk-to spot.
Yeah, that's a fun
our shop.
spot for being outside in the fall.
Yeah, great
especially.
patio, great building. It's iconic.
And Boulder's a cool town. And Boxcar's coffee, I'm very impressed by. The coffee.
Yeah, everyone in town doing coffee. The Coffee Ride, lesser known spot out on East Pearl, they do a great
That's
job.
close to where we're doing the bison testicles, and you can try theirs.
Awesome. Yeah, I can always smell it when I'm playing disc golf over there. I can tell when they're roasted.
They're coffee, not
Yeah,
bison testicles.
yeah, I can't smell those. They're all encapsulated.
Cool.
No, but I like your products too, man. I think these are all high quality stuff, and your tallow, I can't speak high enough about it.
Tallow is good stuff, and most people in the kitchen know that.
Yeah.
A lot of people get dried hands.
Oh, dude, I have a perpetual crack in my thumb that every fall, winter, spring, it will be there as long as I'm grabbing wet, dry tallow.
And tallow is what seems to work the best.
The tallow is the most soothing possible thing after a shift to put on your hands.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about with people in the kitchen in the hospital.
Yeah.
They're like, there's nothing else.
Because you have to
that
wash your
works like
hands so often, and it's so freaking dry here.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially right now.
Yep.
I got back from Florida and Georgia. I was like, it's like just a straight blow dry, right?
Yeah, your lips chat within like an hour of getting off the plane.
It's a good spot for tallow and coffee and community. Thank you for breaking normal.
Thanks, bud.
See you at Beleza.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Keep breaking normal, y'all. Thank you. There we go.
Nice chat.
Well done, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank
I mean, the idea is to talk, right?
Oh yeah,
Dead air's no good.
That's like I imagine a lot of people, for instance, in Boulder, have had quick talks with you, and now, to me, this is like a resource that they might want to not.
No, that's
I
cool.
can share. You can share.
No, I've definitely.
They all want to listen to you.
I don't want to like toot. I mean, I do toot my own horn, but like I fucking put specialty on the map in Colorado myself by putting my face in front of specialty coffee and going to these competitions. I'm talking about that Renaissance time when, I don't want to say this to like the world, but like that coffee Renaissance, I just was so grateful I was a part of the right time to be part of it, because we were like, dude, we're finding these coffees are better. We can get better stuff. It can taste like this. These competitions, like we were learning shit. People were showing up from Seattle and not Los Angeles as much, but Seattle and Portland and San Francisco, and just crushing the competition and bringing coffees that we've never even heard of before.
Wow.
And we're like, what is that? How are you doing that? And then we're like, we need to start roasting. We need to start sourcing. That's the hard part. You have to fucking go to the farm to say, hey, Raul, I love this bean. Don't sell this to the South Koreans. I'm going to sign the paperwork right now.
I know a little bit about that game. I wasn't expecting to play that game so
Dude,
much.
that game's for real.
Yeah, that's a real game.
We were shipped at Ozo. We rejected an entire container from Honduras because when we cupped it, we cupped the samples, and all of us looked at each other like, this isn't what we purchased. Because we scored it based on our palettes.
Okay, yeah.
So there's four of us scoring it. We
that's
all
something
scored it
different,
at like an 82, and I was
It's
like,
like,
did you guys notice what I noticed? And all of us are like, what happened?